question was, what led to just bringing Paul to campus, and I think the process we went through was identifying candidates, and we had head coaches, coordinators, we had pros, former head coaches, those categories. And when once we brought people in, we brought the top of each of those categories in to talk to. Paul was our last one, and so there's probably some psychologists out there that's the best spot to be in. But I think what happened was we felt like we had a very good group, and Paul kind of brought the best of everyone, and it was very evident to the folks in that room, unanimous, that there's our guy. And in fact, our alum and search consultant jumped up with that, and absolutely everyone agreed with that he was far and above the best person, has the experience, the integrity, the organization, the passion, basically all those attributes that we were, the players were looking for, what we were looking for in our head coach.
Jim, Paul addressed it, but the fact that he had just coached at Eastern, and how much did you have to be sold that was not a problem?
Good question. As far as Eastern, I would say going in he was the dark horse, and as far as if you look at experience and everything, but and I think I met Paul maybe 5 years ago briefly at a Cougar Husky golf outing or something. I don't know, maybe 6 years ago. I didn't know Paul. I knew him as the coach of Eastern, but did not know him as the head coach and how he ran his program. And I think once he sat down, I was hoping by the end of our process, as it kind of pointed to that he would. He could possibly bring all those attributes together, and he hit a home run.
How many were there of you in Salt Lake, and why did you pick Salt Lake?
We had, I think, 6 of us, or 5 or 6. We brought in 6 people. Picked Salt Lake because it was a place where we could bring people in, and you guys didn't know where we were at.
Hey Jim, can you talk about Eastern's season this year and how much that weighed in your decision?
I think that was kind of a bonus. I think his body of work as a coach, 8 years bringing a program together, and as Paul said, I think the first few years you're kind of finding out just how this thing works as the head guy, and so I think you're more effective, and I think especially the last 4 years had an impact on it. But I think all of that together what he brought as a person, and I think the former player was kind of a bonus at the end. I think that was his tying together, probably in the modern era, our greatest success in football, I think was very, very positive for us.
Can you speak of the nuts and bolts of the contract?
Just we're kind of like similar when I do coaching hires. We're working on the nuts and bolts. It'll be 5 years. 5 years he'll be compensated similar to Coach Doba, but we're working out all that stuff as we move along. I think he'll get a raise, is what he keeps it.
You're saying he starts out where Doba is now?
Just somewhere. I don't know exactly, but it'll be right around there.
Jim, how long did you spend with him when he came in for his interview? Was there something real lasting about his personality that kind of stuck with you personally, that kind of led to that home run?
Sure. As we had candidates sitting in the chair, and I was to the right of that seat, you want to look at that person and see them, with the Cougar hat on and speaking and representing Washington State University. And when when Paul got in front of us and from the get-go, basically had that presence, that confidence. I think Paul's been refined by fire, both personally and then as a coach. And I think that his depth of his person really shone through to me, that he is a great leader of men, and that is important to me as someone leading our program. I want that type of individual leading our program.
Jim, I know you said before that you wanted to have someone in place before January 1st, but really with the dead period coming up, did you guys feel any kind of pressure to get something done before this, maybe get a staff and all that together?
Yeah, I think that's the sooner the better, but we didn't want to rush the process. We wanted to make sure we had the right person. So obviously even having a few days before the dead period was helpful, but we wanted to make sure that we had the right person to lead us, and that was more important. And I set that as an outside date and hoped that I could do it quicker, but I didn't know for sure.
Jim, what are you expecting next year from this team? Because most people think it's rebuilding.
Yeah, I think they can. We certainly will be competitive. I think Coach Wulff brings a lot of energy and with that some change. So how quickly our players can adapt to that, and as he talked about buy-in and learning the different systems. I think we have a lot of great kids that are back. I think there's 8 defensive starters and maybe 7 offensive, so a great core nucleus of players. Obviously the recruiting is important to bring depth to that, and because hardly ever does someone have an immediate impact as far as a freshman or a transfer for coming in. So I think we'll be very competitive.